treat today here for Turf Business TV. I'm stood on the outfield at the county ground here in Hove. I'm joined by Sussex head groundsman Andy Mackay. You've had a few years in the turf care industry. Started off up north in terms of Blackpool and Lytham St Anne's there. What was your first role?
My first role, I kind of fell into the industry. It was a job while I was doing A-levels. My uncle was a grounds chairman at a club called Lytham Cricket Club or Lytham Sports Club. And it started as a summer job. I was cutting tennis courts, involved with cutting and rolling in cricket. We had football, we had hockey on grass then. So it was quite a broad start. But yeah, it was basically helping out the groundsman there, Les Stevens, who was there for a long time. I was his assistant.
So that was your first start. Did you get the taste for it there and then, or did that come later?
It took me a couple of years. It was something I always enjoyed. I used to really look forward to coming to work, but I'd never intended to become a groundsman. I finished A-levels, I went to university, studied something completely unrelated, carried on being a summer job and at Easter and helping out as and when I could. And it wasn't until about halfway through university, I was enjoying my university course, but it wasn't until halfway through I thought, well, hang on, maybe I should be doing this. I should be at Mackay or somewhere like that, actually studying turf at Mackay rather than in Wales studying archaeology and ancient history, that sort of thing.
So what was the next step for you then?
Again, I hadn't really entertained the idea of being a groundsman as a career. I was looking at doing other things, and it just so happened I finished university and I was looking for a career to go into. I wasn't really quite sure what I wanted to do, and a job came up at a local club called St Anne's Cricket Club, and I thought, yeah, I could do that. So I applied for the job. I was lucky enough to get the job. I'd only had 5 years of really grass cutting and rolling by then, and it wasn't until I started the job that I suddenly realised I didn't really have a clue what I was doing.
So how did you fix that then?
It was a very steep learning curve. I read a lot. I spoke to a few people, but it was mainly finding things out for myself. Books helped a lot on getting things wrong on the job. We were lucky to have a good pro at the time, a guy called David Callahan, who was a South African pro. He was very helpful, and I sort of picked it up quite quickly. But within a year, I decided I needed to go to agricultural college, and that's when I went to Mackay College and started an HND, which is now the foundation degree. And that was very useful.
So you did that during your time at St Anne's. What was the next step after St Anne's?
I was concentrating on getting St Anne's to where I wanted it to be. I had a plan. I was about 3 years into the plan, and Blackpool Cricket Club approached me. Their groundsman was retiring and they wanted someone to take over. I think they liked the work I'd done at St Anne's and seen how the ground had improved, and they asked me to go to Blackpool and be groundsman there, and I initially turned them down because I was halfway through doing things at St Anne's. This is a passion for me as much as a job, and I was very much involved with what I was doing. I didn't want to let St Anne's down. On the other hand, I just met my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, and she said, "Don't be so bloody stupid." So I thought about it, and I thought maybe I could continue to do St Anne's Cricket Club and Blackpool Cricket Club, which of course is an outground for Lancashire, and she was quite right. So I ended up employing my dad as my assistant. Yeah, he was between jobs at the time, and it just seemed to work quite well. So we ran the two grounds between us. I was at Blackpool for a few years and doing St Anne's as well. It was a great experience, very, very busy. I had to be very organised, and it was another learning curve that I went on. Really just for interest's sake, I did a BSc in turf science on the online course with Mackay. That was very interesting because the last time I studied in any depth, if we wanted to know something, we went to the library and took a book out, or we took a journal out or whatever, whereas this was pretty much entirely based online. I came down here in 2006. I'd kind of achieved most of the things I wanted to at Blackpool, and certainly at St Anne's was a very good square when I left. Of course, in club cricket, finance is always a limiting factor, so you can only take things so far before you either need some more money or you have to move job. And I've always enjoyed improving things. I've always been lucky to be able to come to grounds that needed some improvement. So I'd spoken to Pete Marron, who was the Lancashire groundsman, asked him about county cricket, and in typical Pete fashion, he told me not to bother. Anyway, I saw the head groundsman job came up at Sussex. Derek Traylor just left, and I thought, well, I'll apply for it. My CV's probably not strong enough to get the job. Lo and behold, I didn't get an interview. And then I saw that the head groundsman was the previous that just appointed the deputy as the new head groundsman. So I thought, well, presumably there's a deputy role coming up, and it was advertised on the Sussex website. So I applied for that and was lucky enough to get the job.
And how long as deputy?
A couple of years. It was an interesting time as deputy. Lawrence moved on after about 2 years, and I was appointed head groundsman. So it was a case of I've been quite lucky, being in the right place at the right time. I've worked hard at what I've done, but you need a slice of luck, don't you?